Well, it looks like this is the first and last Harvest Moon game I'll be playing since the OG ones. And before we jump in, let's clarify this because I know it confuses a lot of people. This game, Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home Special Edition, is made and published by Natsume. It's not the same as Story of Seasons, which is now developed by Marvelous. Years ago, the two teams split, and while Natsume kept the Harvest Moon name, Marvelous is the one who continued the original farming sim formula that we know under the Story of Seasons IP. And that's important to keep in mind for what we're going to be discussing today, because I think Natsume is taking advantage of farming game lovers, especially those of you who grew up with the Harvest Moon franchise and you're not aware of the split. I cover plenty of farming games on this channel, so consider squishing the like and subscribe buttons so I can always help you pick the right game for you. I want to give you a quick look at the history and the context of this game, which is very important. So back in the day, Natsume used to localize and translate the Harvest Moon games, meaning they never developed them, so they never created or made these games. But ever since they started creating their own Harvest Moon titles, we can see a very big difference in quality, or shall I say the lack thereof. And it's been very painful to see almost all of their games have unfavorable reviews, for example on Steam. And it's all for good reason, and this game proved that even more. Their new releases look and feel very ancient because they lack any understanding of what makes a great farming game, or better yet, what made the original Harvest Moon game so special in the first place. And the proof of my statement in the intro happened during my stream a couple of days ago when the developers sent me a code and I said, you know what, let's just try it, like how bad can it be? And even though I started by clarifying that Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons are now made by completely different studios, someone still popped in chat and said, oh my god, this is incredible, like the original makers of Harvest Moon are back. And I was like, wait, no, these are not the OG makers of the Harvest Moon. So if that happened during my stream, I can only imagine how many more players still don't know about the split. And that's where, again, I truly believe Natsume is taking advantage of players who assume that they're finally buying this game, which is gonna take them, back to a beloved classic from their childhood. But lo and behold, it's far from that. And this is where the next point is very important to address, which is the pricing of this game. So this game originally released on mobile, it cost around £14, and then they ported it to PC and consoles, so now you have the Home Sweet Home Special Edition. And guess what? This edition costs double of the original cost. And it's like, for what? You're gonna be paying double for a game that is janky, clunky, and unpolished. The developers didn't even bother to streamline the controls, especially when it comes to farming. They use this awkward system where you're gonna press down the R button on your Switch controller to help you select grids for tilling, planting, watering, and harvesting. But in practice, it's so inaccurate that you can visibly see me struggling on stream. And you're definitely seeing this in the footage too. It's not me, it's just how awkward the controls are, which makes it very difficult to even farm in peace, which I think should be the easiest thing to prioritize in a farming game, no? And again, this is one of the many issues that we're gonna deal with when we talk about this game. And I think a big disclaimer has to come in right now, which is I cover farming games and I've played over 100 of them. So I have a pretty solid knowledge about what makes a great farming game and what doesn't. And I'm someone who's very fair with my reviews. If I don't like something, I'm still gonna find reasons why you might like it. So I try to be as objective as possible, but at the end of the day, there's gonna be a lot of personal preferences in here. And this is why I think it's very important for me to tell you what the game gives you, what it lets you do, what it doesn't let you do. But you're gonna see that if you like the same games that I do and you don't like the same games that I don't like, you're probably not gonna enjoy this one. And right now, it's very important to bring another issue, which is the pacing. It's so slow. It reminded me of Tales of the Shire, another game that completely missed the mark for me, and a game that just doesn't know how to be a great farming game that released this year. While Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home doesn't look as hideous graphically as Tales of the Shire, note that I played that one on Nintendo Switch. Goodness gracious, that was horrible. I'm gonna leave my review for you in the pinned comment if you want to check it out. But anyways, we're talking about Harvest Moon now. This game shares the same problem. It has no idea how to make its repetitive tasks feel rewarding, which to me is the essence of how to make me attached to the gameplay loop of a farming game, where I'm craving to play one more in-game day, and I end up playing 5 hours because I am stuck in this loop of fun. In the best farming sims, those daily chores of watering, harvesting, talking to villagers, taking care of your ranch animals, completing quests, and many other gameplay features create a satisfying loop that keeps you hooked. Here, it's the complete opposite. So by the second week, when the game finally starts to open up a little bit, NPCs are repeating the same lines over and over again for the most part. Your girl was bored out of her mind, especially you saw me on stream. I was struggling to play, and if it wasn't for the chat just keeping me entertained and we were having lovely conversations, I was clocking out very easily. The main mechanic here revolves around this thing called a happiness jar. So you're gonna fill it by completing villager requests, you're gonna sell items, and you're gonna gift NPCs. Once it's full, the story is gonna move forward, but the whole system feels empty and soulless. So at one point, I found myself waking up, watering crops, or planting any if I need them, going back to bed by 10 a.m. because I literally had nothing else to do. This is so bad to be happening in a farming game. Heck, I didn't even care about my barn animals. I was just hoping that I'm gonna collect whatever I need, go fulfill my task, fill up the jar, and hopefully get some new dialogue and new gameplay mechanics so we can push through. Now, some of the activities in this game include fishing, chopping trees, mining ores, and later you're gonna unlock a mining cave. You can even craft furniture, you can craft your own clothes and other materials, and that's all good, you know, you're gonna be thinking like, wow, that sounds fun. Well, yeah, you know, if we say it like that, it sounds fun, but in execution, it's all a struggle. I never felt motivated to continue, and nothing about the gameplay loop pulled me in because it's just so slow, meaning that getting rewarded takes forever. And in an era where we have incredible farming games that make you feel rewarded, Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home fails to even compete with the classics, let alone the new modern farming games. So why? Why is it all feeling very unrewarding? Well, it starts with the stamina system, which is a major problem here. This one is represented by these hearts that you see in the top left corner. You can restore your hearts or your stamina with meals and foraged food, but it's such a tedious mechanic. Most modern farming games have moved away from this kind of restriction so that they can focus on creativity and innovation, whereas here, even sprinting is gonna drain you from your total stamina, and when the world is so big, and you might think, ooh, big, like that's gonna be fun, I can explore. Well, no, it's also empty. Well, good luck having fun. Now, I've seen on the Steam page that there's gonna be a scooter that we can unlock to make travel easier, but I'm already way past the 10-hour mark and I still haven't gotten this. Eventually, the world is gonna expand a little bit as well, but again, it never stops feeling empty. It just feels like the developers expanded the map to make it seem like it's impressive, but in fact, it's mostly empty space. It's just flora and just a few buildings and there's nothing there. I do appreciate that you can see NPCs on the map and birthdays on the calendar, but oh my gosh, is a minimap also heavily needed because memorizing the land is difficult, it feels like a maze, and in stream I was going to my map non-stop to draw out my way. And it's so funny that the game says you can click on someone so you can see where they are and it will maybe help you navigate your way around. Well, the only thing that happens is that the map is now gonna highlight the NPC with like a yellow marker, but you're not like knowing how to get to them. So you're gonna keep pulling the map, putting it down, walking a little bit, doing this again. The map feels like a maze and it's really annoying. And at the end, going back and forth all the time while constantly running out of stamina, trying to forge some goods on your way to eat or make food so you can restore it, it becomes frustrating, especially early on when your tools are weak. You have a lot of resources that you wanna get so you can, you know, expand buildings and stuff like that, and it just doesn't let you play at your own pace. Your stamina is draining faster than your wallet when you get paid at the end of the month and the bills have already drained you from that money and you just don't have any to buy anything. And visually, there's also something off. Every character looks like they're distant cousins from the same gene pool. Like, it's a little bit unsettling. Do you see that? They all look the same. And there's one guy here. He has this mustache that is almost like down to his chin. Like, what is happening here? I think Natsume reused the assets from their Winds of Anthos game, and there's no problem reusing assets. We also see Square Enix does that a lot, even with their music when it comes to Dragon Quest games. That's no issue. But here, it just feels like a lazy cash grab. Also, talking about the NPCs, they're flippin' boring. There's nothing to them. You don't really feel like, I don't know, they're just so bland. One of them kept saying that I'm a bland quiche. If anyone is a bland quiche in here, it's all of these NPCs. And I'm okay with some farming games not really like emphasizing the dialogue aspect. That's fine, but at least they will give me a good gameplay loop. There's none of that. Neither of these are present in this game. But in case you feel like, you know what, I really want to give this game a try, so let me give you a couple of things that are actually fun in this one. So first, you can open up the small stall to sell things for a higher price, or you can also create specialty village items, and that happens when you sell high quality stuff multiple times using your shipping bin. You can also crossbreed crops into new varieties. You're also gonna unlock plenty of crops as you go, along with new fields that are going to have different soil that are gonna decrease in quality, so it's similar to Rune Factory. So at one point you need to leave your fields to recover for a little bit. You can raise animals, you can brush them, pet them, make sure that they're indoors when it rains, otherwise they're gonna get sick. You can pick up compost from the barn animals and use it as fertilizer, or better yet, you can use this machine to turn it into fertilizer. Weather can also impact your crops. So we've got blizzards, for example, that can destroy your produce, so it's similar to Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. And there's a list of in-game achievements which might appeal to completionists, especially if you're gonna play only on Switch. This is a good way to add achievements into your gameplay. One feature that I also like is the newspaper system. Every morning you're gonna wake up, you're gonna see the scene of you eating, and sometimes you can read updates reflecting your progress. It's a nice small touch. And by the way, your inventory is divided into categories. So we've got one for tools, you've got one for your seeds, one for your crops and forageables, and I think this is like a little organization thing that is good. And if you're wondering, your days are about 15 minutes long, or 20 plus if you're gonna be talking to everyone, because as far as I can see, time does pause during conversations. But this is pretty much it when it comes to good things. We can go back to how is story progression in this game. So you're often gonna see yourself going through days where you have these random side quests that you need to fulfill so that you can fill in that little happiness jar that I talked to you about before. When you compare these side quests or fetch quests to modern farming sims like My Time at Sandra, Coral Island, Wildflowers, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, Home Sweet Home, you know, Harvest Moon feels bare bones, it feels outdated. These requests are gonna scream at you because of how repetitive and dull they are. So it's always something like, bring me X number of Y crop in exchange for seeds or food. It's nowhere as fulfilling as, you know, this year we saw Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar and Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, giving us requests that tie into the character development as well as the general story arc. Heck, even the general story here right now, it's just boring. Like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I don't care. And if you're like me and you're prone to motion sickness, you have to be careful about this, because when you're farming, the camera suddenly shifts to this top-down view, and in general you can't rotate, and I don't mind not rotating. You can zoom in and out, but I hate when games try to suddenly shift my camera. I had the same issue, for example, with Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I really love that game, but I hate that sudden, you know, perspective switch that we were having. And also in this game, we have some buggy NPCs. Some of them will just vanish into thin air. On stream, one literally walked into the fridge, like, I don't know, is Narnia in there or something? I have no idea. And with all of that in mind, we have to do our signature before you buy. So we've got this game is for you if, not for you if, and my verdict. Before we get into that, hello you gorgeous human being, it's Miss Bubbles. If this video is helpful, do me a favor and squish the like and subscribe buttons. It goes a long way. And if you want to support the excruciating 10 hours that I had to put into this so I could save you some cash, consider supporting me on Ko-fi, Patreon, or YouTube memberships. Every little step goes a long way, so I can keep making these videos for you and saving you some cash. So this game is for you if you're a completionist and you enjoy collecting and unlocking achievements. It's for you if you're okay with a very slow farming game and you don't mind repetitive loops that don't really feel satisfying or rewarding. And it's also for you if you want a super chill, low-effort farming sim to play in short bursts on console and PC. However, this game is not for you if you care about polish, pacing, meaningful, rewarding loops. It's not for you if you expect modern quality of life features in your farming game. It's not for you if you're like me and you're easily frustrated by bad UI, clunky controls, awkward camera angles. Heck, it's not even for you if you're hoping that this is anything like the original Harvest Moon titles, because it is not. As for me, and as someone who loves this genre, who buys and plays almost every farming game I can get my hands on, it's very painful to see Natsume still releasing titles that feel stuck in the past. I've refused to play any of their previous ones because I've heard how bad they are, and now that I actually finally gave one a try, I regret that I did, because I could have used that 10 hours to make you a video about something else. And you know, this is very important. I always say this, I am a consumer first. So before I am a content creator, I've always been someone who buys a lot of games. If you follow me on Discord and Twitter, you see how many games I buy at full price. And I feel like if I got this game at full price for how shallow it is, I would have been really pissed off. Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home Special Edition is outdated, empty, it's uninspired, and it just doesn't capture the charm of what makes us love farming games. And coming from Natsume, a studio that once helped bring these classics to the West, this is really disappointing to see. But this is the fun part of this video. I want to know what you think about the new Harvest Moon games, especially this one if you've played it. Maybe you've played it on mobile as well. I'm so excited to talk to you in the comment section. And if you are, you know, a little bit torn, you're like, you know what, I'm not gonna get this. Sales are coming up very soon. Should you go with Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar or Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma? Check out this video next. Thank you to my YouTube and Patreon bubblies who make videos like this possible, and a shout out goes to the games I mentioned, Yugoslav, Stella, and Jake Logan for going the extra mile. Until next time, stay bubbly.